Rep the South Side whenever you pay with your White Sox debit card from Wintrust Community Banks and score perks like free ATMs, no monthly fees, and a $300 opening bonus. Pay with pride every time with Wintrust, Chicago's bank.
Hey everybody, it's Chuck Garfien. Welcome back. It's another edition of the White Sox Podcast brought to you by Wintrust, Chicago's bank. Show your team pride with a White Sox debit card. Get yours at wintrust.com/Sox. Member FDIC, EHL lender. Okay, on the podcast today, we have a conversation with White Sox rookie pitcher Grant Taylor. He is here. He's going to be a starter in the future. That's probably in his future, but for now, he's coming out of the bullpen and he is throwing triple digits. On the podcast, we talk about the first time he ever threw 100 miles per hour in a game, converting from a starter to a reliever, the future of the White Sox, what he sees coming for this team. And we talk about some of his teammates in AA, like Noah Schultz, who's now moved on to AAA, his relationship with Paul Skenes, and a whole lot more. It's a conversation with Grant Taylor here on the White Sox Podcast. Let's do it. All right, Grant Taylor is with me. Grant, I want to begin with this. You've been in the majors for a little bit. Have you had a "I can't believe I'm here" moment? Has that happened for you?
Oh yeah, for sure. I think it was, on my debut as I was running into the field, look around, see all the fans, see the stadium. Like, this is pretty cool.
Yeah, what did that mean for you at that moment?
Yeah, I think it's a culmination of so many things. It's what I've dreamed about since I was, a little kid. Everything I've worked for the past, 20-something years. So it meant a lot. Yeah. Did you have a pitcher when you were growing up, like, that's my guy, I want to pitch like him? Yeah, I actually watched a lot of Clayton Kershaw, which is, funny to say because I'm a, right-handed pitcher. He's left-handed, and, we kind of throw similar pitches. I just, he works a little bit different than me. Yeah. Have you had a chance to meet him? I've not, no. Well, what would you say to Clayton Kershaw if you met him? I don't even know. You'd be never thought about speechless. That. Yeah. Well, you were in AA with the White Sox, and they call you into the office. Maybe you sensed a promotion was coming. Did you expect that promotion to be to AAA, not to the major leagues? I assumed it was to the major leagues because they called me. I was at my apartment and they were like, "Hey, something came up. We need you to come in." I was like, if I was going to AAA, they'd probably just tell me over the phone. So I assumed whenever I had to come into the office, it was major leagues. All right. So how memorable was that moment for you? You talked about, the journey to get here, and then it happens. Yeah. I mean, something I'll never forget. Mm-hmm. How did you tell your parents? How did you tell your family? I FaceTimed all of them in our group FaceTime. Told them, they were all super excited. My dad was in the middle of a meeting and popped out. I guess he had assumed it was something big if I was calling all of them. So, did you think that the major leagues was possible for you this year, considering the amount of innings you threw the year before? You were coming off an injury. Did you think this was something that was in the cards for you this year? It was something I was going to work for going into spring training. I didn't know if if it would be available to me. It was something I was going to try and do. Mm-hmm. But had a conversation with 𝗵𝗫 𝗍𝗫 when I got sent down from Major League minor league camp that it was maybe in the cards. You're a starter. Do you still think of yourself as a starter, even though you're in the bullpen right now? We'll see. We'll see come next year. Okay. Now, why do you say we'll see? It's something we talked about maybe revisiting come spring training, and then at that point, it's my job to show that, that I'm, one of our top 5 guys, and if not, that's on me. But in terms of this year, this was like a green light that you got. If you were trying to still build up as a starter, you wouldn't be here, right? So, correct. What about this opportunity to pitch out of the bullpen, because that was obviously not in the cards originally? Yeah, I think amazing opportunity. I think pitching in the big leagues in whatever role, learning what works here, what doesn't work here, how to get better here, is definitely advantageous for me. What are you learning about being a reliever? What I've learned, guys' hands are pretty quick up here. Caratini, when I first faced him, there was a fastball 6 balls above the zone. He gets his hands to it at 101. That just doesn't happen in AA. So I think it's gonna be a lot of fun to be able to face guys like that.
Yeah, but as a reliever, like you have to come in. I mean, can you basically just max out more as a reliever than you do as a starter, or is you have the same approach as a starter?
Similar approach. I think intensity level might be up just a tick because the adrenaline's a little bit more there. But at the same, it's honestly the same job, just in shorter stints. You
had that debut against the Astros, and there were two plays that really stood out for me, and I wonder if you noticed it. Your last two outs, you had a perfect inning. Your last two outs, your catcher was 𝗁𝗁𝗍𝗀, a rookie. Ground ball to shortstop, 𝗦𝗏, a rookie. Through to 𝗏𝗏, a rookie. Like, what did you even notice that or feel that or sense that was
the first time I've thought about that?
So what do you think about that, where there was this, rookie pattern with two of your outs, and what this, where this franchise might be going?
Yeah, I think that's pretty exciting for years to come. Hopefully all of us can, be up here, stay up here, work together, win together, build camaraderie, and hopefully that sets us on a good path.
Yeah, have you had an at bat against a certain hitter that stands out to you, or a wow moment like I did that there?
I think the 𝗁𝗁𝗍𝗀 𝗵𝗁 with fastballs in the zone, be able to get some swing and miss there, strike out. That guy's an all-star, so I think that was a moment where I was like, I'm here. I've struck out an all-star. Like, now we're just playing ball.
And that was a tough inning. You had two men on, nobody out.
Yeah.
Take us through that, because you end up with 3 strikeouts after that.
Yeah, made a mistake to Wyatt Langford 2 strikes, threw a fastball at the bottom of the zone. Good hitter, put a bat on it, single. Seager worked a really good at bat, and then 𝗵𝗁 Semien hit a 95-mile-an-hour cutter, for a double. Like, that's good for him. That's a good swing. And then being able to go, run scored right there, and then being able to get 3 punch outs after running into some trouble, was happy with that.
Any good advice you've gotten from some of your veteran pitchers here?
Just be me. Let my stuff be in the zone. I'm here for a reason. Don't try to do anything special. If I wasn't ready, they wouldn't have brought me out.
So I read that your dad said that when you were 13 years old, you were 13 going on 30. Did you feel that? Did you feel like you were a young adult at 13? And what do you mean by that?
Maybe not at 13. When I was 14 or 15, I was playing on varsity with my high school, and I felt like at that point, I felt like just one of the guys. All those guys were 4 or 5 years older than me, and I felt like I fit in with that group. So maybe then I felt a little bit older, but I don't know about 13 going on 30.
Do you remember the first time you threw 100?
It was the first time above 100.0 was my first outing in spring training against the Mariners. I went, I think, 101.2, but I had a couple, 99 point whatever round to 100 on TrackMan last year.
So you had never done it in a game, or even at all until then?
Correct.
Wow. Does that mean anything to you, that you hit that velocity in a game?
I think it's it's pretty cool. It's pretty fun. In today's game, velo. It's kind of a big deal. So I think being able to do that, and hopefully be able to do that for a long time, is advantageous.
So your goal is obviously to be a starter, but as for this season, have you thought about that first time, if they put you out there in the 9th, protecting the lead, going for your first save?
Yeah, I think that'd be a lot of fun. I think that's the goal for this year, is for them to be able to trust me in situations like that. And be able to come out on top. Yeah,
what do you think the difference is between pitching in the 8th and getting the final 3 outs in the 9th to win a game?
It's honestly the same thing. It's just a mindset change. Being able to, treat those moments the exact same. Being able to, not let the situation get too big. Be able to stay calm. At the same time, like, you're still trying to get 3 outs with no runs on the board.
Yeah. How competitive are you? How much do you want to win? How much do you hate to lose?
Oh, I hate losing. I grew up with 2 brothers. Competing, winning, that's all I've ever known.
Are they older than you?
Yes.
Okay, so what was that like, being the younger brother of two others, and you hate to lose, and they want to beat you?
It was honestly tough. I mean, because they're older, like they're gonna beat me more times than I'll beat them. They got a little bit more skills because they were 2 years older and 4 years older. I think it toughened me up a good bit, gave me some thick skin, and made that drive a little bit more.
Okay, do you remember the first time you beat them in anything?
I used to own them in weed boxing.
In weed boxing?
Weed boxing.
Can you explain what weed boxing is?
So it was Wii Sports. You had the Wii controller, you had the nunchuck. You just duke it out. And for some reason, I was really good at it, and they couldn't beat me.
Did this really upset them?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. A few more questions. What's your best pitch right now? Is it the fastball?
I think it's either fastball or curveball right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think cutter and slider, close behind.
Okay. What do you want to add to your arsenal? What are you working on right now?
Got a change up in the back pocket, still working on it. I don't think it's something I'll really get to use that much in a relief role, but it's not something I want to lose.
Yeah, if you're throwing 100 and then you throw a changeup in, that's going to be good. Mm-hmm. What's it been like throwing to fellow rookies 𝗃 and 𝗃𝗀?
Oh, it's been awesome. I think they're both really good behind the plate. Convicted with their pitch calling, and they both got a pretty good stick. So I think it's gonna be fun to be able to watch them. Okay, I want to ask you about a few guys in your world. Noah Schultz, he was with you in AA. Yeah.
Just got called up to AAA. Tell me about Noah.
I mean, that kid's a winner. Super excited. He's got unbelievable stuff. He's a young guy too, and I think he's super poised. He really gets after his work, really understands what he's doing on the mound. I'm excited to see him here. Yeah, and there's a guy who's kind of flying under the radar, Shane Murphy. Oh yeah, he's pretty unreal. His stats are fun to look at. His bullpens are so impressive. He calls the fastball up and in, he gets it there, he throws a backdoor changeup, he gets it there, and then he takes it onto the mound in the game, and it's fun to watch. He executes at a high level. Yeah, he's a lefty. Could you see him making it? I know you're not the scouting director, you're not the GM, but could you see him getting here to the major leagues? Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. You're friends with Paul Skenes. How often do you guys chat? I'm sure you get this question asked a lot, but I want to hear it from you. Pretty often. I think we text every other week. Hopefully, try and talk to each other on the phone once a month. What do you guys chat about? A lot of baseball. Most of the time it's baseball. And it's what's going on in each team, or like your situations? What is it? Is it like a lot about your the most recent game? What do you guys chat about? Yeah, most recent games, kind of what he's working on, what I'm working on, maybe different tidbits here and there about mechanics and stuff like that. He's a student of the game, and he's trying to learn. So that's a lot of what we talk about. Yeah. What was he like? Was he like a role model for you when you were in college, or were you guys kind of more like brothers? I think more like brothers. Mm-hmm. One day, you might face him in the major leagues. What would that be like? That'd be awesome. That's obviously end goal is to play for a long time, play against a lot of people, win games. But I think on the side, there's I'll get to play against a lot of my friends, a lot of guys that I grew up playing against. There's a guy from my high school with the Nats right now that I'll get to play against. You got Dylan Cruz and Paul Skeenes, and different guys that are in the big leagues, and other guys that are in the minor leagues that are hopefully there soon, like Trey Morgan, AAA, and Paul 𝗍𝗍 in AAA. So I think it'll be fun to be able to play against them, as well as against the rest of the league. All right, one last question, and it's about the future and about this team going through a rebuild, and you're part of the future. What do you see going forward for this team? Yeah, I think we have very, very exciting young prospects, young core that I think we're only going to continue to get better. Be able to some older guys here and there. I think we're only going to get better. I think since I've been here, we've been playing. We haven't won. We've won one game, but 4 of those we've been fighting very close. One of the games in Houston, that ball in left field, if it's a foot higher, we're in that game. The Miguel Vargas double. Yeah, I think we're moving in the right direction. I'm excited for what's to come. All right, well, I'm excited for what's to come for your career. Thanks for the time. I appreciate it. All right, Grant Taylor here on the White Sox Podcast. Hawk Harrelson, take it away.
All right, Chuck, this edition of the White Sox Podcast is is over.